Picture this: dozens of students at school. Suddenly, gunmen show up. They seize as many people as they can, take them away, and demand huge ransoms for them. A frightening thought. But this is not unusual in Nigeria.
Nigeria has a kidnapping crisis on its hands. This year alone, there have been more than 150 of these incidents in the north of the country, with a significant number of victims seized from schools.
Just this morning, at about 6, I received a phone call that they have entered the school, kidnappers, and all our children are packed, including my daughter inside. We rushed down here. We confirmed that they are all packed.
The attackers are known locally as bandits, armed gangs littered across parts of northern Nigeria with no specific ideology. They often take their victims into remote areas like forests where they cannot be easily located. The exact number of incidents is hard to know, but even the reported cases of school kidnappings make for a long, sobering list. The situation is so desperate that, according to UN estimates, more than 1,000 schools are currently closed across northern Nigeria. The insecurity has forced nearly 400,000 students to stay home for their own safety. According to Amnesty International, that leaves the education of an entire generation at risk of being lost.
But the armed attackers do not target only schools. In a recent incident, gunmen raided a hospital. They seized 8 people, including a baby.
It's across the board, really. At a point, so if you go back to the report which we published last year, you'll find that in the earlier days, it used to be people who were well off. But now it's, like I use the word democratized. Anybody could be kidnapped now.
The attackers come from different backgrounds, but they have one thing in common. They use kidnapping to enrich themselves. Since security forces rarely rescue the hostages, desperate families are forced to pay whatever they can of the huge ransoms demanded. Analysts say this kidnapping crisis is the fruit of Nigeria's pre-existing troubles.
Let's not forget the fact that, we are the poverty capital of the world, but this year people have become increasingly poorer. So the desperation to find one means or the other to feed themselves will push more and more people into petty crimes. The government isn't addressing this as a holistic problem.
But you can see the link between the proliferation of arms in the hands of non-state actors, the rise in unemployment, the near collapse of the economy, and the pressure from various conflicts within the country. That's what is all turning into this rampant criminality that we see all over the place. And quite unfortunately, it does not seem to be the government's primary focus.
So what is the government approach? Some state authorities have offered the armed gangs amnesty, including even money if they lay down their arms, but that has not worked. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has criticized this approach, saying it has the potential to backfire with disastrous consequences.
The impunity, I think that's a big part of the problem. Everybody knows that these kidnappers get paid, they don't get caught. And that is for the most part. So of course, that's an incentive for more people to get involved. People are forced to pay ransoms in order to see their loved ones, because in many cases, these kidnappers tend to get very brutal.
Ransom payments so far this year are at nearly $20 million in total.
Lawmakers are now working on a bill cracking down not on kidnappers, but on their victims' families.
The legislation would make it a crime to pay a ransom to get loved ones back. The bill's sponsors say kidnapping has essentially turned into a business funded by ransom money. But many families say they have no other options. They'd rather go to jail than risk their children's lives by failing to hand over the cash.
Despite talking tough about fighting kidnappers, the government is clearly not in control. Nigeria's security forces are stretched thin, grappling with other security concerns, including a decade-long Islamist insurgency by Boko Haram. That group has also perpetrated mass kidnappings, including that of the Chibok schoolgirls you might remember from 2014.
So the insecurity in northern Nigeria is only getting worse.
These abductors don't just appear for thin air. They move, people see them, it means that there's failure of intelligence. 2, you do not hear anyone held accountable for failure. There are government officials who get paid, who has responsibility at different levels to protect or to carry out certain duties that will protect these students, that will protect communities, but they are not doing and nobody holds them accountable. So there has to be accountability. And then thirdly, there has to be enough deterrent going after perpetrators. That way you stop copycat from happening.
You need to build trust with the people. They need to know that whatever it is that you're doing is for their benefit. We don't have that now. All we keep hearing of when a new set of security chiefs are brought in is that the people who were there before them stole money. Has anyone been prosecuted? Has anyone been jailed? Have any monies been recovered and citizens told these monies have been recovered and they've now been put to proper use? No.
So there's a lot for Nigeria's government to consider for lasting progress against this crisis. For now, the kidnapping continues to spiral out of control, with many citizens fearing that they too could become the next victims.